Last night I was back at Moorview Cottage again. I opened the gate and passed through the garden with the Albertine roses trailing over the granite walls and the perfume of honeysuckle. I went round the walls of the house to the kitchen garden where the path at the end leads down to the sea. The well-remembered salt tang was in the air, and I heard the ebb tide whisper, "Carpe diem, seize the day." The back door was open, and my mother and father were there, with a little boy. Father sat at the table, mother was busy at the sink. Both looked younger than I remember, unlined. My mother hugged me, and my father nodded and smiled, and the fair-haired boy held up a toy train engine. Jasper, the dog, came out from under the table, wagging his tail and barking. He rested against me as I sat at the table. There was so much that I didn't understand when I was growing up, and much more that I didn't ask. It was then I realised who the fair-haired boy was. I don't really remember much about my older brother as a person. What I do remember is the way that everything revolved around his memory. Be careful with that, it belonged to your brother, or I wonder if Harry would have been able to run faster. What I longed to say was, why am I not good enough for you? You have me, don't forget you have me. I didn't spend time with other boys or bring them home for fear of upsetting my mother. I had cousins, aunts and uncles who kept in touch, but rarely came to see us. I didn't want kindness from anyone then. I hid behind my shyness and my feelings of never being good enough. Carpe diem, whisper the waves, but how can I? It's difficult to seize the day when you can only see people in your dreams or through a laptop screen, or only hear them on a phone. I can't really go back to Moorview Cottage, and I certainly can't go back to the past, and yet something different happened last night in that aching familiar dream. Harry reached up both arms to me, toy in one hand. I'm not good with young children, but I picked him up awkwardly. He still had the little engine in his hand, and he didn't bash me or himself with it. "Come on, Jasper," I said, "we'll go down to the cove." He barked and followed us out. We went out between the patches of vegetables and the apple trees, through the back gate and down the path towards the sea. Harry chatted away about his toy engine, naming the driver, the fireman, the guard, and listing the kinds of coaches it would pull. "And where's the train going?" I asked him. "To Paddington Station, of course," he said with absolute certainty. I knew that this was a dream, that the Harry in my arms was a memory, that the dog scampering beside me had died when I was away at university. I went home to help my dad bury Jasper beside the path to the sea. Yet there was no sign of the resting place we had dug, nor the piece of granite we had put up over it. The white foam of the waves washed in, and the green-grey water sucked back out. I put Harry down on the shoreline. Jasper bounded in and out of the water, shaking himself and sending arcs of salty water into the air. I laughed, Harry laughed, and it came to me that this would be a good place to gather my friends and family when all this was over, and when we were allowed out again. We could cook on a fire, run and play games, we could search for creatures in rock pools, fly a kite, and they could bring their dogs and their children too. Perhaps I will be the one to arrange that. "Seize the day," the waves whispered again, and this time I knew that I would.